On this channel, I make a point of going to some of Utah's weirdest places. Now today in particular, we're actually going to what just might be, maybe, my favorite of all the weird places in all of Utah, which is really saying something because there's a lot. Now this place in specific, I first started going to in 2016, somewhere around there. I think it was September of 2016. And back then, no one knew about this place. I mean, people here in Utah didn't know that it existed. This was especially true the first time I tried to find it, when there were no Google pins labeling the names of these places. Since then, that of course has changed. This place has definitely become one of the most popular spots in all of Utah. I would even say now this place has pretty much become the drone photography capital of the entire world. So of course we're going to be taking our drone down there. This is the DJI Mavic 3 Classic, which I think might be the most underrated drone of all time, and we are going to use it to get some abstract images. Now at this point, to be totally honest, I have no idea how many times I've been down there. It's probably in the hundreds at this point because I've gone down so many times over and over and over again to this place. And no matter how many times I go there, the thing that shocks me the most about this place, every time I go there, still to this day, I find some new thing that I didn't know about or some new area that I haven't explored yet. Now for this trip in specific, we actually are only going to be down there for one night because we only have a weekend, and we're going to be going down with two of the guys that I work with, Stetson and Tyler. So we're going to go ahead and load up the 4Runner and meet up with those guys. Got Stetson here. He just got one of these brand new DJI Osmos. We've got it on this mount. So we're gonna get some rollers of his Tundra over there. You ready, Stetson? You're gonna control it, right?
Yep, controlling it from my phone.
From his phone, so.
Also has a tracker.
We don't have ND filters for it, so I guess we're gonna see how that works, but.
Yeah, see how it does.
See how it turns out. Now, this part of the road in specific is actually the coolest part of the entire trail coming up here in a second, and I really wish I could show you the footage of it, but I can't. And the reason for that is, you'll notice these little astronaut helmets right here on the right. As we were passing through, there was a large group of maybe 8 people doing a completely nude photo shoot here just off to the right of this frame, and for obvious reasons I'm not going to play the footage that has those people in it. But if you can create the mental image, it was a very coordinated photo shoot with something like 8 people all sprawled out completely butt naked across one large rock. So many people, so well coordinated across this one rock, it was actually pretty impressive. Naturally, this caught all of us off guard. I don't think any of us really knew what to do, so we just kept driving because it was so awkward stumbling across them. This was the spot we had planned to go to take photos of Stetson's truck, but we didn't want to stop there and make it any more awkward than it already was. So we just kept going on to our campsite for that first night. The hills here are made of a type of clay called bentonite, which, if I'm not mistaken, inherits its extremely red color from a type of iron oxide, or rust, which gives it this really deep red hue. This area has very distinct rings across these hills of deep reds and purples, which of course make for very unique drone images. Now, unfortunately, we were very pressed for time, trying to make the most of what sunlight we had. We did manage to make it to our campsite right about golden hour, which would have been a perfect place to get lots of drone images. However, I had a very specific place in mind. I wanted to shoot sunset. So Stetson and his girlfriend Hannah stayed behind at the campsite and set up camp and made dinner, while me and Tyler actually went out to photograph sunset at a place I had planned ahead of time. Now the spot I wanted to go to this time to shoot with my drone was something like 40 minutes away, so we were really in a time crunch to try and make it there before the sun set. Unfortunately, the way the sun set this night, it disappeared quickly and there was a thin layer of clouds on the horizon, which made it so we had even less time of actual light striking the surface, so I didn't quite get the photo that I was after this sunset. However, I did manage to find some new areas that I would like to go back and explore in a future trip. And I actually do have some clips and some photos from some of the areas nearby here from previous trips. So me and Tyler got what we could out of this sunset and then made our way back to the campsite for the night. We are here at our campsite. Got Stetsons Tundra right here. Got a fire over there. So the spot we're at tonight is down low in the valley and we're surrounded by these rocks. So the wind here can be really terrible. If you camp up on the cliff faces here, the wind is just terrible all night long. There are winds tonight, so we're hoping we can get away from a little bit of the wind by being down here, which is usually the case when we've stayed here in the past. So got my 4Runner right here, his Tundra with his rooftop tent right there. Got the Miso Customs dual color hatch lights right here, so if I wanted to change it over to night vision time and I don't want my natural night vision disrupted by the white light, I've got this red light option, which is super convenient. My map lights in the front, the driver's seat, match this, so I don't have to constantly screw up my night vision when I'm getting gear out of the car, which is pretty handy. We got a couple Pelican cases here. We got the drone in this one, and then this one is actually the star trackers. So I've got the Benro Polaris and the Skywatcher Star Adventure in here. The Benro Polaris is actually up there charging right now. So you got the Skywatcher in here. The Benro normally lives right there. This spot specifically where we were camped is actually one of the best spots in this whole area to catch sunrise. However, for this trip specifically, I actually had another spot in mind where I wanted to go with my drone to get some aerial shots. However, over the years of camping at this location, I have accumulated a lot of different shots of this place sunrise. Kind of the weird thing about this place is that you really only get sunrise and sunset, and in my opinion, the majority of the good photos here are definitely sunrise locations. Since we were only down there for one night, this left us pretty limited on the amount of times we could go to shoot. The harsh daylight here, there's normally no clouds, and it really just doesn't make for interesting abstract images the same way that sunrise lighting does. So since sunset was kind of a bust the night before, I really wanted to try and get the specific image from a spot I had marked on Google Earth with my drone the next morning. So we woke up pretty early and made about a 40-minute drive out to the spot where we were going to fly the drone to get some images. We did manage to make it here in time for me to get some of the images I had envisioned. The thing with this area is right when the sun hits the horizon, the sunlight starts to strike some of these super bizarre badlands, and you really only have a few minutes where you've got this nice balance of light and shadow. As the sun rises, the light starts to get really harsh, the shadows become even harsher, and that golden sunlight color just starts to disappear. So to get these photos, you've really only got a few minutes, and you've got to be in position right when the sun starts to hit the horizon. Now I was pretty happy with a few of these shots. I did manage to get these from this trip. And since we had a totally cloudless morning, it wasn't long before the opportunity to shoot these images started to disappear. So after probably an hour of shooting what I could from sunrise, we decided to make our way back to the campsite, and Stetson was actually planning on coming on this trip specifically so that we could film a full walk around video of his Tundra. Now if you guys want to see that video, I will link it down there in the description. That's going to be over on Tundra Lifestyle's YouTube channel. After we were done filming the walk around video of Stetson's Tundra, it was time to complete the rest of our trip and make our way back home. Part of the plan for this trip was to do a short, simple trail that connects the area where we were camping back to the main highway, which would take us home. Now this dirt road, all in all, only takes a couple of hours to complete, but there's a lot of really interesting scenic spots. I love this road. Every time we go down there, we make sure and take it because it does take you through some of the coolest spots in this area. One of the most distinct parts of the road happens immediately after you do this sort of roundabout around this large butte that's located out there, and immediately it takes you to the edge of this shelf, and there's some switchbacks on the edge of this cliff face. It's just this crazy exposed cliff, and you're driving along the edge of it down the side in order to get down into this basin at the bottom. It's a really distinct and unique place, and I don't think there are very many areas in Utah that really have this sort of road happening. After taking you down the side of this cliff, this road takes you through some really bizarre and unique badlands. They have this really strange blue, gray, sometimes even black color to it, made out of some really interesting soft dirt. I believe this type of terrain is called Manco Shale, but don't quote me on that. Now, after winding you back and forth through some of these badlands, it takes you to a very small river crossing. Today, when the three of us reached it, there was just enough water there to have quite a bit of fun going through it. From here, the road winds through a bunch of different terrain types in a very short amount of time, taking you through more bentonite hills with those crazy red rings, more of these bizarre badlands with those gray-blue colors, and it even takes you by this old abandoned shack. Eventually, the road drops you into a sort of slot canyon that you drive through before finally meeting up with the paved road again. This, of course, would mean an end to our trip and starting the drive back home. This trip was incredibly short, and we barely even scratched the surface of all the weird places here, and trust me, there are a lot of weird things out here in this part of Utah. Now that's going to wrap it up for this video, but if you guys like exploring weird places, especially in Utah, make sure you guys subscribe because there are going to be a lot of videos of some super strange places here in Utah coming to this channel. Now, if you guys want to see some of the photos that I got on this trip, you guys can see them on my Instagram, which I will link down there below, or on my website, which will also be in the description. If you guys want to follow Tyler or Stetson, I will include their information down there in the description below too. And of course, if you have a 4Runner, a Tacoma, or a Tundra, make sure and check out the websites 4Runner, Tacoma, and Tundra Lifestyle, which I will also link down there in the description.